thoughts on this song is this thing just comes right out of the gate and it's just like bam. There's no messing around. Yeah, there's no slow intro. It's just like hits you little horn.
What's that sound like? Oh, Magnum PI. No, a little bit. The horns. That's fucking rad. I like that part.
A running paper tiger chases its own tail. Someone wants the floor.
It's rad. I like that bridge right there, or whatever, that breakdown.
Yeah, their costumes are amazing too. I mean, I know they were supposed to be, I think, special effects guys working in Hollywood, but
Yeah,
stuff
they're
is just
some
like
college project or something.
This stuff's next level though. It's just so creative.
But the fact that, I mean, it's like they can do that, the special effects, the gimmicks, the costumes, which is very impressive on its own. But the fact that these guys are actually sounding like these the hooks are there, and the riffs are amazing. These are great heavy metal riffs, and the vocals are good.
Yeah, they're underrated for sure.
You should expect like very low from this kind of a gimmick band, but these guys over deliver in that capacity.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people kind of treat them like a gimmick band because they do have like such an odd.
But they got talent.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
really talented. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else? Cool riff.
That dude had like a horn like coming out of his ass, dude. It's so fucking
Gwar, baby. That sucks that this guy's dead.
Yeah, I think they got a new singer, but
He's not gonna be able to replace this guy. Perfect voice for this.
yeah, this guy's getting off now.
Who are these clowns? Is this like, it's like they got fired from Oingo Boingo or something?
I mean, look at these characters. It's so great. I mean, Gwar's awesome.
That song was, like I said, straight out the gates, chugging. It had that Middle Eastern or kind of the horn section. I don't know. It evoked just by the Saddam reference, kind of that Middle Eastern
Right.
feel. Or
I could see that. Yeah. But, it's a reflective of the time it came out. You know. I think they're a band that's definitely underrated, and I think they get by on a lot of the theatrics that they do on stage, which is just like a bonus. But the music is really good. And
super good.
It's super good.
Better than you'd think it would be, and that was some classic Gwar there. Very groovy.
Captain's log. Stardate 5123-1. Using the Star Trek Command Communications console, Scott and Jim try to contact Steve. Will they succeed?
Let's contact Steve. Check. Ready.
I'm soulless when they sleep into the melting moon. And there should be a better countless you will serve them no more. Face out, unprecedented and is home. They will die by my soul. All will bow. Ice comes from behind the curtain of the blue. Who's pulling the string? The tradition might be quite painful. You won't feel a thing. Another thing causes problems and war. It's those same leaders you've been dying for. This is the reason why your country's running out in vain. Now your house is going up in rain. The souls are soulless when they sleep in the melting moon. There's a real television teleporting to his office all the way from outer space. He will know what happened until Murray Bobbers to the night. To think this sort of relax, I haven't just for shit. I don't even I use them, I will never let you go. You will serve them no more. Unprecedented and is war. They will die by my side. All will bow before war.
Let's get into this. Gwar, we don't know anything about Gwar. This will be a first for us. We just know that they're in costumes based off of what we've seen in pictures. So this should be very interesting. Gwar, Immortal Corruptor. That shit looks...
Yeah.
How long have they... This looks old as hell. This looks like from a 1980s... like the costumes was like from a 1980s, like, you know, horror film or some shit. This looks extremely old. So let us know that in the comments.
Yeah.
The groove isn't bad at all, man. I like it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm grooving.
Yeah.
I'm grooving.
Yeah, man.
I'm grooving.
This sounds good.
You know,
and everyone's getting in.
Yeah.
The bass guitarist,
Yes.
the fucking drummer is losing his
Everybody's
mind.
going crazy. Shout out to everybody, man. They're doing their thing. You know, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, man.
Now, I don't know how the metal community feels about them in wearing costumes. I don't know how that's perceived in the metal community, but I don't.
But it sounds good.
I don't give a fuck.
They're jamming.
I just care about is the music. Does the music sound good?
Exactly.
I'm liking the groove.
Yeah.
That's
breakdown is, yeah.
That's shot, man.
Yeah, how they come out of that that guitarist riff right there, and then it's just that breakdown with the drums only. That sounds hard. You know, that shit sounds dope to me. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's hot.
I am really enjoying this, man, because
This is good.
To be upfront and honest, I didn't think I was gonna like it. From what I was seeing at the beginning, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you know that people probably have looked at this band, you know, and judged them, you know, and judged them and said, "Nah, get the fuck out of here."
Like I did.
This is some shock value. Yeah, this is some shock value bullshit, and you know, nah. But that's the advantage of just being a free thinker, man.
Yes.
Just being objective.
Absolutely.
Because I saw that picture when he sent us that picture on Twitter. I was just like,
Yeah.
all right, let's give it a shot. And
Yep.
we gave it a shot, and we're actually enjoying it, man. But that breakdown, like you said, when the drummer just kind of got off, I love how the groove stopped.
Yeah.
And he let the drums get off, and then it came back in. We always love that. We love that in any type of music. I love when they let the drums get off, and then the groove comes back into it. So, dope. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
They're getting off.
Great ass request, man.
They're shredding.
Dude,
That's it. They're getting off.
this is crazy.
Shout out to Mr. JD.
Yeah, man. This video was crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
Is that how their live show is though? I wonder if they have
Yes.
like the effects of the blood splashing on the audience and all that, you know, or just
Right.
what if they go that hard for their live show?
That's off the chain. That was hard. I enjoyed that a lot. I mean, they went in the whole song. I love the transitions. I love the breakdowns. I love every single person that played any instrument in that song was getting off.
Shout out to Gwar, man. That was you know, that was something else. I'll say that. You know what I mean? You can't deny the musicianship. I thought that the breakdown with the drums, you know, when the groove stopped and they let the drums kind of get off, then the groove came back in. I thought that combination, that really is what grabbed me throughout this entire thing. And I thought the shredding, the solos were really good.
Yeah.
I thought everyone did a good job. It's definitely not a song that I don't think I would want to revisit. I just don't like, I can't get past the voice in the lyrics. To me, to me, it's a little cheesy. I didn't necessarily like the vocals on it. You know, there's like a part where I hear here in the bridge and it said, if I was a sperm, I'd consecrate my germ and then continue. And if I was a worm, I find a way that I could crawl up in you. That shit's very, very cheesy lyricism to me. So the lyrics and the vocals came off cheesy, but as far as the music, like how it sounded, them shredding, cool. But it definitely won't make my playlist though. But shout out to Mr. JD Irrelevant though for that one.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed that a lot.
That was definitely interesting. You know what I'm saying?
I enjoyed that.
Boo! Boo! Fuck you, Sawborg!
No!
What do you mean?
You wanna go, Turtle? Wanna go? I'm more frog. I've got more frog DNA.
I tell you what, instead of fighting, why don't we have breakfast?
You wanna have breakfast? What do you wanna do with that?
Well, to make an omelet, you're gonna have to crack an egg! life is right. Crack in the eye. Crack in my life, I love the innocent soul. I feel with privilege, Catacombs, I'm feeling just goes, I'm fighting it to go. You bastards of villains are banging at me. Now you can put yourself behind me. You're really lucky, I'm all in on me. Shooting your stomach and casualty. Some of your phone was like glittering. Mash up your face with my voltage. I'll bring you dead babies like there be no land. If we kill enough of you, go to a lot. We get up your days, we approach the hour. Go to a get a blood, then baby shower. Baby, be back, we can celebrate life. I'll be the doctor and be the midwife. It takes so long, how can I cut slack?
This is going to be epic, and this is my birthday weekend, National Vape Expo, so the Rodman's going to be in heaven with Gwar at National Vape Expo, Richmond.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is epic. So tell us more, Michael. Tell us the details.
So they're going to be promoting their e-liquid as well as signing autographs and doing the whole thing both Saturday and Sunday. They're going to be with their manufacturer promoting their e-liquid. They are not charging for any autographs or anything like that. They're going to be there to take pictures. We're going to have a really, really fun time.
Nice.
Dude, so Gwar has an e-liquid?
That's what it's called.
What?
Gwar Fluid, yes.
Yes.
Gwar Fluids by Mount Baker Vapor.
Dude. Nice.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
I can only imagine what the profile,
I have a hard
the flavor profiles of these e-liquids are, like demon's blood or something. I mean, tell me about
I
it.
think it's like babies, dead babies.
Dead babies.
Dead babies and orange cream.
And orange cream.
Orange
Something
cream
like
on
that.
the XL.
I can't remember.
That's awesome. Oh my God! I tell you what, if people have never seen Gwar, oh my God, you've got to come do this because you guys put on one of the most insanely intense shows anybody could ever attend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
He's in the band, Pablo.
I know. I'm just saying. But there are people out there I know that are like they might think they know what a Gwar show is,
but they don't know.
Yeah.
You've got to go to one.
Don't wear your fancy clothes.
So they're going to be there at the convention
Yeah,
hanging
they
out.
don't know because we kill everyone that comes there, so each person is new.
Well, the few survivors that sneak out the back, have to, spread the word.
That's true.
Well, man, we're really excited. So your e-liquid, you're going to be there with your e-liquid line. I'm excited to try it, man. That sounds awesome. So this is just another thing. Just add to the experience. It's going to be National Vape Expo Richmond. That's August 25th, 26th.
Kevin, this is Scott. Kevin, this is Scott. Do you hear me? Over now.
The Star Trek communicators with push-to-talk button.
Scott, this is Kevin. My bike is broken. Can you help me? Over. Yes, but send me a signal so I can find you.
Star Trek communicators with a range of 1,300 feet. Push button, twin warp sound. Uses 1 9-volt battery not included.
That's right, ladies. The war on male domination begins right here. So sit back, relax, cook up some fish tacos and clams, and enjoy our feature presentation. They call her One Eye. Wait a second. Who's this knight in shining armor? Why, it's Bill Cosby's best friend, Sir Rapes-a-Lot. Come on, get in. We're all going to the Stanford Kappa Alpha Spring Fling. Oh, look, she's writing a note. What's it say? Are you going to rape me? Check yes or no. Fancy wine and drugs? Pfft, that's a waste of money. Wine coolers and Robitussin works just as well. Well, now I can't blame her. A little blurry vision, and he starts to look like Johnny Depp. Just not as creepy. You can blame the drugs, but I'm beginning to think it was his personality. Excuse me, doctor, speaking on the patient's behalf, what is the copay on this treatment?
Just sign your name at the bottom. The copy, too. Here. I didn't say anything about reading. Just sign it, baby.
Oh shit, it's a prenup. Run! I think we just found the Baltimore Ravens' next starting running back.
Your first customer will be here at 1. You make sure he goes away happy.
Hey, watch it. That's her shooting arm.
Are you ready for your mystery day? Don't be late, it would be great. Open the door for your mystery day.
When you open the door, will your mystery date be a dream or a dud?
Oh.
Well, that's a fine how do you do. Well, looks like management's gonna have to make some cuts in labor.
Well, right, you start the morning with one of our winners, Mr. Weirdo Anderson.
You're the one with 4 holes, so you get weirdo. The way these guys throw their money down in contempt, it's like they have no respect for her at all. A perfect gun for a hooker. It's very, concealable. Well, I wonder who lives here. Why, it's Sven Stinkfinger. Avast, you land-lubbing butt pirate. This is for plundering me booty. That's a sawed-off 12 gauge to the head. Swedish special effects. Missed it by that much. Well, I bet that was therapeutic. Now to meet Mr. Right, get married, settle down, and raise some kids who'll get raped and start the whole homicidal cycle again. Gwar TV, available only on Roku. Yes, others at the network laughed when I said I was going to show a Mexican film with subtitles. They said Americans don't like to read. Well, I say, Yoda esos pendejos. They don't have to. As I've said before, violence and titties is a universal language. So let's learn the hablo español the fun and easy way as we watch our mexploitation masterpiece, Intrepid Old Spunks. Uh-oh, Aerosmith's ASCAP lawyers are hot on their tail. What a nice gang. They've got a run and gun battle going with the police, but at least they're courteous enough to keep it under 35. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. The transition from Bandit to El Bandito has this car looking a little rough around the edges. See that, kids? That's why you always wear your seatbelt. Why couldn't Smokey and the Bandit have ended this way? Faux hawks with facial hair. That is so trauma. Nothing says low-budget 80s movie like actors who won't fully commit to being punk. Ah, the 80s. The scene was so much better supported back then. Punk rape bands always had places to play. Till Straight Edge came and ruined it all. No need to pay the band. Just a six-pack and some sloppy seconds and they're fine. Nice picture composition. Aesthetically speaking.
Y ahora empezaremos la fiesta. Los mejores hombres...
Look at this asshole. Making up rules for a party. That's not punk at all. Is this the new professional sport of the future? Chain fights on trikes? Because if it is, I'll back it. Now the psychotic punk gets to have sex with one of those psychotic sluts. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and guess it'll be unprotected. So when punks are having sex, they don't listen to hardcore, they listen to generic blues. Who knew? Makes sense though. If you're keeping time to punk music, it's probably more likely that it'll lead to premature ejaculation. Just think, America. In another 8 years, this is what the president's inaugural parade will look like. I love this product placement. P-Max, the only fuel to blow a fool sky high. Yeah, that's what happens when you spend all your budget on spray-on hair color. You come up short in the pyro. Stop your whining. That went in a 1/4 inch, you big baby. Nothing can match Mexican cinema for fight choreography, with the possible exception of The Matrix Reloaded and Bum Fights 4, 5, and 6. Hey, she was unarmed! Punk lives matter!
The wait is over. At last it's here. All in one complete box set. The first 12 episodes of Sleazy Pictures After Dark. Think how proud you will feel owning this first season of unsurpassed cinematic brilliance while displaying it proudly on your coffee table or bookshelf. Friends and guests alike will know they are in the presence of a superior intellect when they see your refined tastes in entertainment. And don't worry, there are no cheap double-sided DVDs in this collection, as each episode is on its own individual disc, ensuring superior quality. Shh! But don't tell them how much it costs. They might think you're no better than them. Yes, it's true. Sleazy Pictures After Dark is bringing you palatial entertainment at homeless prices. So order yours today.
Tonight's movie, Pulgasari, came to be made in an unusual way. That being at gunpoint. Which is surprising because every time I've always tried to make a movie at gunpoint, the camera shots came out way too shaky. Yes, Kim Jong-il was determined to get his way. He wanted North Korea to make its own version of one of his favorite movies, The Return of Godzilla. You think this is bad? Times haven't changed a bit. You miss one payment to rent a center, and the same thing will happen to you. Wow, that's pretty detailed using kimchi and rice. Shitty britches, you just picked the wrong job to be a slave at. Could have been sculpting for McFarlane Toys. gotta say, North Korean diabetes strips are just weird. But you can't argue with the results. Ah, what a surprise. I thought the blade was gonna rust off at the rate this scene was going.
전부기과 안에 괴물이 나타나서 병쟁기들을 모조리 먹고 있어이다.
In Korea, they call a beast with an insatiable appetite for weapons pulgasari. In America, we call it the Pentagon. Oh, what's going on here? Some kind of male bonding? I'm sorry. You don't hold a men's retreat in a cave. The location is just too vaginal.
모신이 상감마마의 은총을 입어 벼슬이 오늘에 이르렀어도
Was that some kind of gay code?
명을 내리신다면 그대 과시 나의 둘도 없는
So that's why you got the job. This scene makes me feel conflicted. While I am rooting for the peasants in their fight against the king, at the same time, I realize they're just a bunch of commie bastards that we're gonna have to grease later. Shows how America is the model of efficiency. Somehow, we've managed to make our people poor and fat at the same time. Sorry, fellas. You know what they say. Once you go metal, you don't backpedal. Look at them. Having a big party, working and sharing together. It's like Burning Man, but without all the ecstasy and rape. These raggedy-ass farmers are getting kinda cocky. A General Hum job is going to have to change that. You don't see this kind of commitment from today's youth about much anymore. Maybe for that new iPhone release, but that's about it.
내 죽어서도 망하는 저놈들의 몰골을 보고 싶다.
Different countries, different customs. Take, for instance, how they do piñatas. In Mexico, they're full of candy. In North Korea, not so much. Look, I'm telling you, it's still too small. Alright, that's it. I'm through making jokes about Asians and their undersized equipment. Actually, I'm just getting started. Well, the king wants a money shot. Maybe the big balls will make up for the small shaft. Well, if we've learned anything here, it's that while small, Asian ones reload fast and shoot a lot. Poor General Hum job. That was one shaft he couldn't take. Bad news, now that he's outgrown the ball, this is one exotic pet you can't flush down the toilet. You want to get rid of him, just do what other irresponsible pet owners do. Take him to someone else's town and drop him off. Or build a giant car and lock him in there on a hot summer day. Hey, here's some stuff that you can buy! Hey kids, you'll be the coolest kid on the block when you're rocking these Sleazy P Martini designs. Not only do these designs come on shirts in multiple colors, but they come in multiple styles as well. Want to mug someone with flair? Do it in a sleazy hoodie. Want to commit domestic abuse with panache? Wear a sleazy muzzle shirt. Does your girlfriend hate it when you're always texting while on a date? Protect your phone with a stylish sleazy phone cover. Get these sleazy merchandise items and more when you visit Sleazy Store at Threadless.com, or go to the Hyperreal Productions website and follow the store link to Threadless.com to get all these awesome items. Help Sleazy go legit by purchasing his legal merchandise. By doing so, you'll help further fund the production of Sleazy Pictures After Dark. Tonight's film, Ricky-O, was based on a manga series that ran for 12 issues between 1988 and 1990. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Ricky-O, the story of Ricky.
Ricky Ho, 21 years old, sentenced to serve 10 years for manslaughter and assault.
And for looking fabulous. It's a real shame to see that Subway Jared has gained back all that weight.
put you in a pound.
And after this beatdown, Subway Jared's gonna give him the $5 footlong. What are you crying about? You needed lipo.
As your leader, after you're punished, we'll discipline you.
Punish him all you want. Just don't rape him. He'll probably kegel your dick off. Never ask this guy to pop a zit for you. The return of Asian Andy Warhol. This whole prison's about to be queer-eyed. I know he's supposed to be a badass, but all I see is a gay Las Vegas magician, whom we'll call Wang Neutered. You think knitting needles are stupid weapons? Not when they're wielded by a jump-cut fool master. Uh-oh, there's a camera. I guess they're about to shoot Butt Bandits 4. Well, looks like male modeling wasn't enough. Now Ricky has branched out into performance art as well. So pretentious. Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, here comes Kool-Aid.
If this seems unusually cruel, just remember, this is 90s China. They hadn't even started making iPhones yet. Is anyone else bothered by the Asian use of white stereotypes? It's like Augustus Gloop moved to Hong Kong.
Yeah. Your oxygen tube.
Oh, that Ricky, he's a crafty one. He's going to use the leaf whistle to make the dog dig him out. I did not see that coming. When they said he should get into food processing, I don't think this is what he had in mind.
Enough now.
I've seen Chef Ramsay treat his cook staff way worse than this.
Ricky, come on, show me what you've got.
Don't do it, Ricky. It would turn a R rating into a soft X.
Hey, stop fighting!
Stop fighting, says the guy with the decapitated head. That's like ISIS doing anger management. Or Kathy Griffin at a Trump rally.
What the fuck are we in for here, man?
So, our accursed offspring, Gwar, doth deign to spoil our moment of triumph and glory?
Let us summon him. My sword, Lick, shall make his dominion over the earth both short and painful.
Whoa, hey, guys. Is this really necessary?
It's like the dude of fucking Crazy Town after he's like had a shit ton. Not Crazy Town.
Split out of here.
That kid's
Too late. Fate has
parents know what
chosen
I'm
this
talking
time
about.
and place to challenge our
Lazy
mastery
Town.
of Earth. And we accept the challenge willingly.
I thought you guys would say that.
Killer graphics, man.
So pestilential hate, it shall obliterate the shadows of your long dead brothers and all the mutilated others. Tidal waves uniform to unleash your bloody hulking form, which broke through layers of molten strata to make the planet Earth pirata.
Oh, I didn't get the old tribal in there.
Take a child in champing jaws, a pumping pile of frothing flowers. This horrid mass shall give us pause as putrid rot fills gaming maws.
Oh, a nice fucking riff, man.
Skulls are smashed and bones are bending, joints are popping, claws are rending, groveling, sliveling, driveling horde to worship scaly overlord. Gaga! Bang! Gaga! Bang! Gaga! Bang! Gaga! Bang! Apocalypse becomes creation. Gorgor shall erase the nation before you jump into his gizzard. Fall and worship tyrant lizard. Gorgor comes and you must die. He swats the step down from the sky. And the minute you crave the death he brings you, fall and worship tyrant in you. And now, my son, my bastard son, it's time we embrace.
So that was Gwar with Gorgor. That was an interesting one, man. Actually, honestly, I really didn't think I was going to enjoy that at all. Especially with the particular sound and sort of genre that's linked in with. That's not generally something which I enjoy. But there were some solid riffs in there which I quite enjoyed. And the when it was like slowing down and stuff and then speeding up, you can totally tell a lot of bands have taken influence from that, or they've taken influence from those other bands. But I'm sure I was getting a bit of a sort of Faith No More influence in terms of the guitars. But there's probably so many bands have probably taken riffs like that and done a little something with it. It all comes in with that genre. It was a little bit thrashy in parts, I would have said. But I did enjoy it. They're not a particular band I'd probably listen to again, but I appreciated it for what it was. It's like if I went into that expecting, there's going to be some absolutely beautiful, clean vocals and some really, just lots of other stuff that I wouldn't normally expect, then I wouldn't have been happy. But I just basically took that piece of music exactly for what it was, and it was very enjoyable. So thanks a lot for the guys that voted for that.
Yeah, so the things I learned, when I wrote an ethnography about Gwar, or really what I wrote, it was in the process of writing a performance ethnography that was about, it was an experimental sort of first-person performance ethnography, and there were a lot of experimental elements in it, but one of them was sort of writing about my experiences with music. I was not in the band at the time, so I just sort of looked at, my journals from when I was in the band and thinking about, and definitely, just looking at the appearance of Gwar in the literature of academic writing is interesting, right? So, because it exists. Like, right. People have written about it. They've written about it in the context of shock rock. They've written about it in the, and I guess like I'm considered kind of a shock rock expert, I suppose. Then they've written about it from a musicological standpoint, which was interesting. Like somebody picking apart Gwar's music. So yeah, it's a different way to think about the band. But more, what was different mainly is that you're not answering questions about what the band does or what the band's mythos is. It's more like how the people in the band work together and just the sort of culture that you build around being in the band, just among the people that are doing it, right? And also somewhat about reception, right? Like how people receive or understand what we're doing. So yeah, it was interesting.
It was, as I heard that, I was like, man, it'd be really fun and interesting to kind of read that, where you take literally everything that you visually see out of the equation and just kind of focus on what it is as the actual entity, which I don't know that a lot of people are able to do. So I always kind of thought, like, when you approach it from such a very visceral level like that, if it kind of becomes something that you don't realize that it really is.
I think that I realize what it is. It didn't really change for me, because what changes for me is realizing what other people think it is. That's sort of more interesting. My work didn't really lead me down a road where I kind of had a sudden realization about Gwar, other than like really realizing its value in my life, how important it was and how central it was in forming my ideas about life, and I guess that was a surprise, but definitely interested in what people take away from it, and hesitant. I was hesitant. I don't like interpreting things because I really think, but sometimes Gwar does things that are so sort of over the top that when you talk about them, you have to interpret them, because otherwise people are going to take them on face value, especially academics. And what surprised me was that, I fully expected to. I took classes with women and men who were radical feminists, who were, really accomplished scholars in queer studies and cultural studies, and all of the people that folks would point to as being sensitive about these kinds of issues. And Gwar was never viewed in a negative light, and I thought that was interesting. That I did learn. So in other words, there's a kind of there's something about Gwar that allows it to occupy this space that. And I think really what it is that Gwar is marginalized. It's a marginalized metal band. So we can kind of occupy that space a little bit, even though it's a bunch of white dudes out there, and there. But there's always been women that were part of Gwar. And now, especially as far as making stuff, the image goes, always women were part of it. But certainly Gwar is not the same as being in, I don't know, fucking Halloween, or it's we're not cool, and I think that our music really speaks to people who are disaffected, and maybe a lot of academics kind of meet that bill,
Right.
So I didn't catch any heat for it. I was glad.
Kind of speaking of a band that has kind of caught some shit, I kind of feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up with you guys, or at least with you. Steel Panther with this Pussy Melter pedal fiasco that's going on right now. Have you heard about this?
No, what is this? I
So,
love Steel Panther, though.
Satchel had a pedal that was being made, like a custom pedal being made for him, a guitar pedal, and he called it the Pussy Melter.
Right.
Very much on brand for that band. And this band, Braid, I believe is their name, or Braids, caught wind of it and started a petition to get the company to remove that pedal and the name and all this kind of shit. And the company obviously did decide to work with Satchel to change the name, and they apologized and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of wondered, in the world where, you know, a band that's on a Steel Panther level, where obviously seemingly everyone's in on the joke of it, like that there's the brand of what they do, and you know, the song titles and album titles and so forth, and just everything about it is being a performance. Is it, you know, I was hoping you had heard of this at least, but I was going to say, is it interesting, or are you surprised that there's such outrage about this? And then I was even going to ask, you know, is there such thing where, do you think maybe Gwar is grandfathered in from kind of being exempt from such scrutinies as like a Steel Panther?
I don't think that the way that people are approaching this in this country, some people, that anything is grandfathered in, and that's kind of part of the problem. Is that, you know, or a problem that I have with it is this idea that you know, you can apply current standards, and especially, and not even standards, like some people's standards, to things that are that exist out of that context, right? You know, like, and then get all pissed off about it.
Right.
I mean, you know, Steel Panther. So the answer is, I don't think Gwar is grandfathered in. I think that the world is changing to the point that I don't think that Gwar will. We're going to keep pushing, right? But I expect at some point to have some pushback. And
yeah, I was wondering that myself, if you see that coming on the horizon eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think that sort of the band has traditionally occupied a space which is more on the sort of, you know, left-leaning, liberal kind of. I mean, it's really more chaotic than anything else.
Right.
Like, you know, but it's definitely anti-authoritarian, and it's definitely, you know, which I guess these days could be, you know, conservatism's anti-authoritarian too. But it's, you know, I mean, so these have traditionally been our allies, but people who have no sense of humor, they're not our allies, and they're not our friends. I don't think they're anybody's fucking friend. Like, I can't really. I've spent a lot of time talking to people who believe these things, and I really don't understand what. I don't understand why they come down where they do. Like, I don't understand why does a Pussy Melter pedal make anybody do anything except for laugh? And if you don't like it, then well, don't buy it, or don't, you know, the idea that you can force, and that's really what it is. Like, and Braid, there was no nobility in that. You know, they weren't doing that because dumb.
Because what happens when you get double bookings.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that Braid was doing that because
nobility.
It's something that they believed in. I think they were trying to get publicity, and
it worked.
And you know, I mean, you know, I've had people. One time in Vancouver, I was standing outside, and this young punk rock girl. I started talking to her, and she said, she was like, "Yeah, I've seen this band a lot. Tonight they were playing with the music was pre-recorded."
Oh.
And I was like, "Really? Like, what makes you think that?" And she said, "Well, it's because the singer, it all sounded like the other singer, but he's dead, so it couldn't be, you know, it had to be pre-recorded." Yeah, and I told her, you know, that's not true. I'm glad you thought that. Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is that another time that this happened, many times. It happens a lot. You know, like just recently I was in a comic book shop, and the guy who worked there, like, he saw me. My girlfriend found the Gwar comic, and she's like, look, they have it. So I was looking at it, and he's like, yeah, you like that? And he's like, what do you think of the new singer? And I was like, I think he's doing all right. You know, he's trying. And, but I have conversations like that fairly regularly. You know, a lot of times outside of a show, fans they don't know who we are. So
the thing I think is really interesting too, and especially in listening to, you know, like that Lead Singer Syndrome podcast with you, is I assume that the general consensus is that you guys are all relatively stupid.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, and, you know, from having friends who have toured with you guys collectively over the handful of years, is like how smart, like, you know, I've hung out with Brad and a few other people, and how just knowledgeable they are on everything. And I don't think you can travel the world and be stupid. I think it'd be kind of fucking hard to be really stupid and have traveled the world.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
You think
There's a lot of metal guys, a lot of people, musicians, period, that I've met that I have no real understanding of how the fuck they managed to put gas in the band and keep going. Seriously, like, and usually they're not actually stupid, they're just fucked up on drugs or something. But, you know, but definitely, I mean, there's been some people that I have had questions about. And I think that, yeah, I mean, there's certainly, music's like anything else. I think you do have people that aren't that bright that do it. But, you know, they obviously have some kind of intellectual capacity because they're musicians, which is an intellectual activity, really. And, you know, but yeah, I mean, Gwar has always been surprising to people. And the much more interesting story about Gwar has always been the one that's out of character, that is like, you know, just all the stuff that is real, and the relationships in the band and all that stuff, to us anyway. That's always been more entertaining to me to know about and understand than what we put on stage even. But like, the people in this band it's a band full of people that are smart, you know, and it always has been. You know, it's not a band that started by, you know, I think I would compare it to Devo, because more than Kiss, right? Where Kiss is like, I mean, they're a band that's up there trying to, you know, there's definitely a sort of really stupid masculinity about Kiss. Yeah, Peter.
I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't know if that applies to Chris.
Yeah, maybe not Peter Chris. Peter Chris, he's, I don't know. They're good guys. They're you know, they were. I think they were a great band, Kiss. But definitely the sort of image that they put out has a kind of hyper masculinity that is, and it's even toxic at times, like a weird, you know, I mean, Christine 16, you know, but at the same time, you know, a band like Devo, who had an elaborate stage performance, is much more of a direct influence on Gwar. And it's a band with an idea, a band with a concept, and also a band that had a level, I think, that Gwar mounts on stage, a pretty serious critique of modernity, and it always has. And like, you know, yes, people are frequently surprised that the people in the band are articulate, but, you know, what I was going to say about Devo is that another comparison is that Devo's a band that came out of an art school, right? And that's what Gwar came out of, you know, so this is a group that has been driven by visual art and an engagement with popular culture and the valorization of the low. That's what Gwar is about, you know, and there's nothing stupid about that.
No. Kind of shifting again, you know, the last cross-country Warped Tour, which I think is part of the sentence people aren't latching onto, speaking of people not paying attention. You know, that's happening right now, and you guys were a part of that, the full run last year. Are you surprised to see it wrapping up being a full cross-country tour?
No, I mean, the attendance was down, and it had been down. I mean, it was still good in major markets, but, you know, there were definitely some places where, yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear to me that, you know, because you got to figure how much that production costs. I mean,
yeah,
you know, ultimately, Kevin's paying for, what is there, like 40 coaches on the road, you know, 40 tour buses, a bunch of, like, you know, the bands really aren't allowed to drive themselves, so you've got, I mean, they can, but it's just torturous as hell.
Yeah.
So, like, you got the band wagons and, yeah, and then the hotels and, like, just and all of the production. You know, it's expensive as shit. And the fact that he kept it going as long as he did is much more surprising to me than the fact that it's ending. So, and I also think maybe its cultural moment passed a little bit, right? Like, it was about sort of 90s, or not 90s, but, you know, just that 2000s, like, you know, young bands, Blink-182,
right?
Like, you know, that type thing. You know. It was weird because, like, there were some older, like, when we played with the Alarm, you know, nobody knew who the fucking Alarm were. Like, there, nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Like, so there was like 8 people watching them every night. And they were super great guys, you know. But I mean, to me, like, when I was a kid, like, they're a big deal, you know.
Right.
So that was interesting.
It was weird for me because, like, my wife and I made a trip to go see a friend's band in Rhode Island play their last show, and then found out that the next day Hartford was the Warped Tour date, so we went to the Hartford date. And it was very weird for me because with having a friend on the tour who allowed us to kind of get all access to everything. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, having, you know, book shows in this very room that we're in right now and seeing how, you know, setups go and stuff like that, to see just the scale of what that looked like, you know, the crews working together to get the show going and stay on time and so forth, was just really interesting to me as someone who puts on shows sporadically now. But what was really weird is, like, seeing, you know, some of the older bands that played those first couple of Warped Tours, and then you'd have a band like Attila, and you'd literally see thousands of kids shift over to watch them and get ready for them, endure whatever band was on, and then it almost was like as soon as Attila was done and, like, another legacy act was playing, gone. And then it was also interesting to see some other bands like yourself or whatever, where I saw a lot of kids coming to see you guys play, and it was a thing of, like, are you here because you enjoy the music, or is it because of, you know, the word of mouth of, like, oh, Gwar is really cool, they put on a stage show, so on and so forth. And it was really weird to be, you know, almost in my mid-30s watching this thing where I'm like, well, how does this kid know these songs from an album that was, you know, out before they were even born? And so it was kind of interesting to me to see and hear, like, yeah, this date was really awesome, but the next 3 were shit. And to kind of see just the weird cultural shifts of what's going on in the Warped Tour. And, you know, even Keith Buckley from Eats It just wrote a thing about how really Warped Tour was never for the bands or about the bands. It was about the fans having something to look forward to, this community of people, this cross-culture, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of interesting to look at it more from that and kind of see that maybe that's gone from the tour.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, but there's a lot of things that are fucking gone. You know, I mean, it's true. Like, just, I mean, and it depends on how old you are as to what you remember. I mean, I do think that, like, you know, when I hang out with people who are in their 80s, I'm like, you know, it must be a challenge just to look at the world and see how much it fucking sucks, and how much it's gone downhill, and how better things used to be. And I don't think it's your imagination either. I really do think that things just start to fucking suck. And, you know, one of the things is that we mentioned the Butthole Surfers early on, you know, and you mentioned, like, this kind of, like, maybe a segmentation of markets or people's awareness of, like, what bands are. They're not interested in the legacy acts. Although, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, they loved, like, Gwar did really well on that tour, and Gwar continues to be popular with young people, and we're fortunate in that. We don't take it for granted. I mean, but, you know, Gwar is a band that never fit into any notches, you know, any place. There's really nothing else that's like it, and certainly for but it used to be like I mentioned the Butthole Surfers. You would go to a show in a town, and there were a lot of practices that are gone that were kind of cool. One was they used to have matinee shows for kids, and then the same show at night for people who could drink. That happened with some regularity.
We used to do that when I used to come to this town, actually. In that main room, we would have bands, local bands.
Yeah, and so, you'd play once, and then you'd play again. And then, of course, they developed the wristbanding system, and that kind of went away. But the other thing is that the audiences tended not to be segmented. And really, even by the early 90s, I could see that happening. That, it had been that you would go to a show, and the same people who went to the Circle Jerks or a Cro-Mags show, although Cro-Mags, that's the beginning of where it starts fucking segmenting, right?
Right.
But and that's the beginning too of emo and all that shit. Where Ian's looking at what's going on at these shows, and there again, it was this problematic masculinity that those bands promoted. That resulted in violence and a bunch of weird shit going on at shows. But the thing is that at these shows, it was always everything mixed up. You could go see the Butthole Surfers, and go see the Cro-Mags, and go see Circle Jerks, and it was all punk. Even stuff that was really not punk, right? Like some weird rockabilly stuff. Anything that was on that circuit, people were going to see, and it really started to segment, and you had what Biafra calls it an orthodoxy that sprang up in hardcore, where it started to be following a kind of a set of rules, both Sartorica rules and less musical rules and all kinds of things, behavioral rules, and he viewed that as kind of the beginning of the end for punk in America. I don't know about that, but